Hey, welcome to Real Talk, episode 192. I'm Todd, this is AJ, and we're back.
What's up, folks? Let's have a show today.
Alrighty, hey, you guys know the deal. If you don't, I guess I'll explain it really briefly. What's Real Talk? We're just guys up to no good, doing something in the neighborhood, just kidding. We talk about life, God, the Bible, and everything in between. We answer anonymous questions from you. You can go to www.theremnant.live/real-talk. Go all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click submit a question. You can paste in an article, give a question, comment, and hit submit. It goes into our database instantaneously. That means right away. And anonymously, which means we couldn't find it if we tried. Why do we do that? Well, we recognize that there are people out there, Christians, who have questions they want to ask about God, life, situations, their faith that they feel uncomfortable asking in person, their pastor or someone maybe. Maybe it's a touchy subject. Maybe they just feel embarrassed. So we want to give you an opportunity to have a place to ask those questions. Secondly, it's for those of you out there that aren't Christians, but maybe you're seeking or you're interested and you want to have a place where, you can ask those kinds of questions too and not feel like you're going to be jumped or whatever, or, and you can do it anonymously. So that's it. That's the gist.
Gist is spoken.
AJ, you want to catch anyone up about anything on your life? Okay, that was said so strangely. I apologize.
Overall, I'm doing okay, man. I don't really have a whole lot to share. I mean, I would say that the biggest thing is just keep pushing through, like, responsibility, man. I know, like, for me, like, that is one thing that, I can struggle with sometimes is moving, like, actually moving. So, for me, just got to try to keep moving. But other than that, I think that's really it, man.
Well, I'll tell you this, man. So one of the, I've been accused of being mean on the show, right? That's one of the things certain people said. But I will, one of the things that people have said, and we know this going on the show about you, is a lot of people feel like, not a lot, some people have felt like, so people, not a lot, but have said Todd's mean or whatever.
Yeah.
Some people have said that you tend to stay in the same place. And so you say a lot of the same things when it comes to, like, where you're at. And that could frustrate them. These are just random comments I've heard now outside the community. Yeah. So when I defend that. I know your heart. So, like, what would you say to those people who are hearing you and saying, "Hey, man, you said the same thing last week or the week before"? Like, what would you say to them? What would you say to those people, I guess, that I know are watching, are fans of the show, love you, but are like, "Hey, man, I feel like you're kind of in the same place lately." Like a roundabout.
I would say that you're not wrong. I would also say, like, life's a journey. So, like, I know, like, I think I've been like complacent in a lot of areas for a long time. So, like, that's one thing. Like, I'll own up to that. Like, you guys, if that's how you feel, you're probably right. And so,
not everyone. Again, just like not everyone thinks I'm grumpy. So I'm not trying to discourage you. Well, maybe they do.
But, like, yeah. So, if you're listening and you feel that way, like, there's probably some truth to that. And I do.
Well, I mean, I think there is. You just said it.
Yes. So, like,
I think so. I guess what I'm saying is not telling them whether they're right, because you kind of admitted they're right. What would you say to those people? Like, real talk. These are people, like, we've invited them. They invite us into our lives. They're our friends. They're supporters. Maybe in some of the real talk. And I'm not confirming this because I'm not. None of them have told me.
Yeah.
But let's say some of the Real Ones fan club people. What's your actual response to that? That's not just you're right. Because they don't necessarily get to know. Right, so they get a snapshot of your life this week, right? And imagine it's the other way around. They care about you, and it's like every week it's this kind of not the same thing, but sort of the same stuck. How would that make you feel about something you care about, and what would be your response to them?
My response would be, well, first off, it's cool that you see it. Like, thank you for saying something, but
and this has been over years. It's not like a recent thing.
Yeah. I would say, like, I apologize for being complacent, like, and I want to take steps towards not being that, and that requires me to, I guess, face the reality that I don't, because I think sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. So I think for me, it's, and you've.
Well, why do you think that if I'm going to ask questions for them, and again, no one said this, like, specifically, but why do you do that? Why don't you move?
I am very insecure in my steps, especially, like, when it comes to life, dude.
I think a lot of people relate to that, man. I don't think you're alone in that.
Very insecure in that, and not very confident.
What do you mean by insecure? Like, you're going to make the wrong decision, or what do you mean?
Very insecure in the sense that it will be the wrong step, but also insecure in the fact that I don't believe in myself. Like, I don't believe I can do it a lot of the time.
I think one of the things that's hard is we tell people that it doesn't really matter what you necessarily feel at times, that we got to push through that. I know we've given that advice.
We have, and that is totally, like, you're right, because that is one thing I struggle with so much in life right now. Not even right now, for a long time, most of it really, is that, I still tend to give into the emotion. I give into the, that part that you shouldn't. The part that we say not to, I do. So that, and that's...
So how do you rectify that with your faith? I believe in Christ. I can do all things in Christ. I'm more than a conqueror, that we have joy, faith, peace, all those things. How do you, for the people out there that maybe aren't believers, what do you do with that? Because if I'm not a believer, and again, dude, we all go through this to a degree, but I think just like people may typecast me as like, he's grumpy, you might get typecasted as that guy, and yet we're kind of telling them things that aren't, what do you do with that? What would you say to that person out there that maybe doesn't believe, that's saying, okay, dude, you told us that this gives you peace and joy, and you're telling us you're miserable and don't want to take a step in life?
I would say follow Christ, not me.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's a good answer, but that's not I don't know if that's necessarily a real answer, because they could say you're telling us advice you're not following. Because there's a difference between, like, based on your own words, there's a difference between trying and failing, right? And everybody goes through this. Yeah. And I'm not picking on you. I think it's actually really good for people that are listening that may have these thoughts.
Definitely.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like. Sorry, everyone. And that's something I'm convicted about a lot, man. So for me, one of the areas that you are good at is kind of being a joyful person. And sometimes I don't reflect my joy, and I've tried to be better about that lately. And I want to continue to, because I have a lot to be joyful and thankful about.
Yeah.
But what do you do with that? What do you say to those people? Or what do you say maybe to the believers who are saying, I come on here to get because we are being real, but it would be hard for me, I would imagine, if I was not in a place that don't know us fully, and I'm in the same place, to hear us give them advice that we're not taking. Not struggling with. I think struggling with is being real.
That's a
I'm not even
question.
saying you're doing that. I'm saying, do you think you're doing that? And honest to God, this isn't a trick question. I don't know that you're doing it. I'm pretending I'm them.
Right.
And I think what you said was good about following Christ, not you. I think that's good. But we also are giving tangible advice a lot of times.
I would say it's a good question, man. That's something I've never really thought of. Is that when it comes to faith, man, and it comes to life, and again, this is kind of hypocritical if you look at it in the sense of, like, how I live, but I still believe that if you do what God has told you to do and you follow the example of Christ, you will have those things. Like, you will.
So what do you think hinders you in that?
I just don't have that full belief all the time. I let it slip. I whether that's distraction from the world, or that's distraction from my own emotions, my sadness, or I'm trying to think of what else there is.
I think that's good, man, in a way, like you being transparent. I appreciate that, because that is being real. And, and being a believer isn't, you're not fixed right away. You're not fixed. And sometimes we're all at different stages, and sometimes you can even be strong in an area in a season of your life and be weak in another. The thing is, though, and I don't want people to typecast you any more than you want people to typecast me that I'm the grumpy guy. So that's part of why I'm asking you that is, they may not see the times you have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really cool, real thing you just said, which was, listen, sometimes I don't, I hope you guys heard that. Sometimes I let my faith slip. Right?
Yeah.
And which reminds me of Peter, right? He's walking on water,
and then
all of a sudden
he starts to sink, man.
Yeah. And I think we can all relate to that. And that's the beauty of Jesus, right? Is he doesn't let us drown. As he pulls us out of that.
Yeah.
When we fall. But, I will say, man, like, and again, I like that you're also really transparent. Sometimes I'm selfish. Sometimes I'm, whatever. I don't know if the gist of it's kind of disobedience. Sometimes I don't do what I'm supposed to do. I
Oh,
think all of that
absolutely.
is really honest. And I think
Definitely.
most people don't want to admit that and that's true. And sometimes, like, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with the feeling. Someone can struggle with a feeling that you've struggled with, for instance, or I've struggled with for forever. You
Yeah.
hope not, right? You hope,
Mhm.
but the faith comes from the action. And I think that's just a great example, man, because it does remind me of Peter in the boat.
Yeah.
So how do you get that? What do you do? What do you do to solidify your faith again? Like, really, tangibly. We're not just sitting here in front of a camera. Like, I'm asking you, what do you do? If the issue is your faith slipping, what do you do? Or how do you get that back in that moment? And by the way, when you say faith slipping, in case people are like, oh my gosh, he's rejecting Christ, it's not what we're talking about. It's the trust, right? It's living out of what you know to be true, because sometimes we don't do that.
I have to face the reality in that moment that I'm not willing to test what God's given me.
Well, as far as what?
Like peace, patience, all those things.
What do you
so
mean
like
as far as he's giving you, though? Like, you're not willing to test whether he will do that?
exactly,
Okay.
because then I'd rather settle for not doing what he's told me to do and just accept that instead of
Letting you down?
exactly
Yeah.
or I have to accept the reality that when I feel this way, it's because I'm not doing what he's telling me to do.
Yeah, that's honest, man.
Yeah, so like,
And I think that's good for people to hear that think that. Like, why is this guy doing that? Well, sometimes we aren't obedient. I know
No.
I'm not all.
because then what would it be if I were to, so what is it? So I guess the question was, like, what would I do?
What are you going to do? You can't stay there.
I have
As
to,
far as your faith part, not the part of fixing everything.
Yeah, I have to, and you've spoken about this so much, but at the end of the day, even if it sounds quote cliche, like it's truth, but like I have to hold God to His promises and do what He's told me to do. I have to, because if I don't, then what am I doing? Why believe?
So how are you going to do that if you've already struggled to? Like after today, we get off this show.
Yeah.
What's the first step you take?
The first step I take, man, is like actually read the Bible, actually pray. Like, don't just make it either don't do, because that's what I'll do. I'll either not do it or I'll make it some half-hearted BS. Honestly,
And you know what the beauty is, and I think it's important to say too, is like God doesn't love you any less right now.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's hard for people because we mix that. So it's not like AJ saying you got to earn God's love. It's more of what we do to be healthy so we remember God's love. You know what I mean? Because it's so easy to forget that in the midst of this world.
That's true. Yeah.
And it is. It's a hard world. And Jesus told us that. There will be trials and tribulations in this world, but take heart, for I've overcome the world. The servant is not greater than the master. If they hated me, they'll hate you. And that goes really big in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It goes all the way back to the curse, right? Your life, it's going to be hard. There's going to be work now because of what we've done.
Yep.
So I admire that you're honest, man, and I don't think you should ever stop being honest about where you're at. I just wanted people to be able to see the side of you that isn't just staying there, because I know you're not. I know you're not content to that. We know that because we know you and talk to you outside of it.
Yeah.
These people, and we've talked about the challenge of this show before, is they're getting at most an hour of our lives, some people, to know us at all.
That's true.
And there's more than that, right? Like, we're trying to share and be transparent about our struggles, maybe more than our positives, not because we're glorifying that, but because we're trying to make certain people out there, some of you out there that feel like you have to have it all together, know that it's okay that you don't, and that it is a journey, like you said earlier, and that we're on a path, man.
Mm-hmm. And another thing, like, since we're like on that topic, like another thing that I know I have to do is I have to make my word. Like, I have to make my word legitimate again. I know I haven't, and that's just straight truth. I have self-sabotaged a lot of my own like honor, and like I've self-sabotaged a lot of my not for some reason my mind keeps trying to tell me self-worth. That's not what I'm trying to say. So it's my word. Like, people don't believe that anymore a lot of the time, and that's okay because like I understand I've done that. So like for me, it's holding my word out to people too, like doing what I say I'm going to do. Whether and even if that has to be in everything, the small and the big. Starting with the small, and that even includes myself, because a lot of the time I break that with myself even. So like, you can even use something as simple as sleeping and getting up. I don't get up when I say I'm going to. That is, we've talked about small victories on the show before. You've told me a lot, like, you have to stack small victories. Well, that's something I haven't been doing because I'm not even holding to my own word. So then I'm not holding to my word to anybody else either. And then when that stacks, that's when it can get hard because then, like I said, I have to regain that honor in my word again. So for me, like, I have to do that. I have to do what I'm saying I'm going to do to myself and then to others.
I think that's really good that you said to yourself because, when you start to doubt yourself, it's hard to keep, like, for lack of a better word here, your word to others because you already are doubting yourself.
Yeah.
And one of the things I appreciate and admire about you, man, I've said this before, is you're a humble guy and you're honest about, your struggles. And, one of the things I think people need to know too, so I've done this before, I do this a lot. Sometimes we can even not keep our word because of a desire to please and be unrealistic in our capability of getting things done. So I know that happens to me sometimes, right? So I'll say yes to 50 things. I used to do this even. This is one I used to do, and I bet you there's people that can relate to this. I would say, like, you would ask me to do something at 5 o'clock, and I'd say yes, like yesterday. Clint would ask me today, hey, can you do this at 5 o'clock? And I would say yes to that and walk away going, how in the world am I going to do
that.
two things at the same time?
Yep.
And then a lot of it's learning to not, for me, I don't know about for you, was learning, and I still, that's probably my biggest struggle when I do fail to keep my word, is just not necessarily doing it at the same time, but over filling my plate too much. It's not humanly possible. But, oh gosh, I had a thought. Oh yeah. One of the things I think that's helpful is to just realize that people aren't going to hate you if you say no. And the people that do are not people that you really want to be in your life anyway. You know what I'm saying?
That's really good, man. And that is so, like, that's so, like, that would be so freeing if you lived out of that.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard, man.
Yeah.
We're trained in America, at least in the school system, to be very compliant. To be, it's like there's two extremes. It's either be a completely selfish person that never does anything for anyone, or be a completely compliant person.
Yeah,
Those are
true.
Those are the two things we're sort of pressed into.
I feel like they kind of feed off each other because if you're a completely compliant person, you don't want to come off as selfish.
Well, and here's the thing: when you're compliant, because as Christians we are to love sacrificially, but if I tell you both I'm doing something at 5 o'clock, most likely I'm going to end up doing neither, which means I love neither. Do you get what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I'm not saying there's people out there. Some people go, "Oh, I'm supposed to." People are going to get mad. I always hated that thing of, like, I have to get my cup filled before I can fill others, meaning like somehow there's this amount of me time, And so I'm not saying you shouldn't rest before they can love other people, and I don't see that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is being realistic about your capabilities so that you can love someone.
That's really good, man.
Even if you can't, quote, serve everyone in that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's really, really honest, man, and I get that.
That's really good, dude. That's like being super self-aware. Like, I love that.
It's hard to do, but
yeah.
Anyway, I appreciate you being that honest and transparent. I think that can be really encouraging for some of you out there that are in the same boat, is recognizing it's a journey, standing up, walking, being willing to admit things to yourself, not to tear your self-worth down, but so that you take stock of the situation. It's like we've used this analogy, or I've used this analogy a lot. If you walk in, if I have a bullet in my leg, okay, a knife's an easier one. If I have a knife in my leg and I come in and I tell you guys, I'm limping around, and you go, "Hey, dude, there's a knife in your leg," and I say no, that's not going to make me stop limping just because I'm pretending there's not an issue. A lot of times, the only way to deal with an issue, to improve the situation, is to admit the reality of the situation so you can bring out, quote, pull out, quote, the knife and begin to heal that wound or to do whatever you need to do to get to a healthy place. You know what I mean? So hope you guys get encouraged by that.
Yeah, man. Thank you for asking questions and, like, really digging in, because that was awesome. And it sucks, but it's awesome.
I think it ended up spinning pretty positive, man. I think that people need to know that we're human.
Yeah.
Including me and my grumpiness, because that's not all I am. And two, it's not all you are, and to also let people know that it is a journey. And it doesn't mean someone's not a believer. And I like what you said. Listen, just because the messenger struggles with the message doesn't mean the message is any less true.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, as far as my life, so that you don't awkwardly wait 5 seconds to ask, things are
You know
okay,
me
man.
so well.
Things are okay. I'm very tired today. I mentioned this. I don't know what I mentioned in the show anymore, or what's in just life, but
I get it.
I had some decent rest for me the last few days, or a couple weeks ago or week, and then when I don't, I really notice it now. Today was really, really rough. I was dragging. I've been up since early this morning. That's not the issue, but I've just been mentally and just physically dragging, and it's actually kind of making me a little nervous because I have been really sleepy lately, during the day particularly.
Which is not like you.
No, at night, I'm still struggling to sleep. Like, I'll get sleepy initially, but when I actually go to sleep, it's very fitful. So that's kind of what's going on today. And I think I have to be very, very aware when I'm in these modes because it can be easy to be snappy. So that's why I took time before the show today to really get in the Word and try to focus on myself because I could feel myself wanting to do that. Or like, that sounds evil, right? You feel like someone to be evil. No, I could feel myself starting to look negatively at all the things around me. And really what it all boils down to, if I'm honest, is I get is my ability to handle stress goes way down when I'm exhausted.
Yeah, that threshold
You know what
goes
I'm saying?
down.
Yeah. So I'm doing okay other than that. I don't think there's anything else. So a lot of exciting things, a lot to be blessed about. We were talking about that before the show. Very, very thankful.
Yeah.
I've been kind of obsessed with this. Obsessed. That sounds. I'm thinking a lot about. So we got some bands. You remember the guys? We all got bands like last year. Those little silicone bands. The one I would be referencing it, but I forgot it today when I took a shower for some reason. And I have one that's called. And I didn't wear it. I just found it again recently, and you guys may have seen me wear it. I think it started like Friday of last week. It's the Be the Light one. It says Be the Light. And it seems so, like, at first, I was like, wonder why I didn't wear that. Did I feel like it was too corny? But it's been such a weird, God has used that to just really continue to encourage and push that idea of being positive and being a light in people's lives instead of being something darker or something that drags them down. So I'm bummed that I forgot it today. But I've been thinking a lot about that. Jesus tells us that be the light, we're the light of the world, we're salt, and that I need to be intentional about being that. And it's much easier to be intentional about that when I'm fed and I'm reading the Bible. So if you're a Christian out there, and even if you're not, but right, you've got more to worry about right now or to think about before you get there. But if you're a Christian and you're not reading the Bible every day, you are making it hard on yourself. That's like trying to go run a marathon without ever drinking any water or eating. It's you might be able to finish through, but it's not going to be healthy. And I get it. Well, Todd, I don't always feel better when I read. I get that. But what if I told you that? Let's say that I don't know. I guess I'll simplify it. What if it would be even worse without it? You know what I mean? Maybe things don't improve. It doesn't quote feel like, but what if it could be worse?
Yeah.
Your mood, your attitude, all those things. And I think sometimes if we either want spectacular or we want nothing, and that's not the options, right?
That's not realistic.
It's just walking, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, and I'm with you, man. There's areas I just want to get better at. I got to keep pushing.
Yeah.
And trying to stay aware of the kingdom and that it's all real. And I felt a little overwhelmed lately again. I was talking to you guys about that before the show.
Yeah.
And I'm not entirely sure how to handle that yet. About how to handle the various things that I feel either one I'm supposed to do or I pressure myself to do that maybe aren't mine.
Yeah.
But I don't like admitting this, but I'm trying to get better so I don't go through the grumpy stage I went through, a while back, several months ago or year. I have to figure out how to not let that drown me. Which I'm very thankful that God, and I believe the Holy Spirit truly is sort of reminding me more. Like I'm not just slipping into that. Do you know what I mean? Slipping into the mindset. Because you guys know I would either drown and be really snappy, or I would go kind of grind mode and burn a bunch of people that I love. So I can't do that either. So just figuring that out. And one of the things I got to get more sleep. I don't know how to do that yet, but I'm going to keep trying.
Yeah, man. it's hard, man. You do have a hard time sleeping. It's rough. Dude.
Yeah, people don't believe that. They think I'm just
Yeah.
like partying. It's like, no,
No.
man, I genuinely don't get sleepy like that.
It's true, dude.
Oh, that's what's weird about me sleeping during the day lately. I think I told you guys. Like, it's freaking me out a little. Like, something's wrong with me, but I'm trying not to think that way. Anyway, update with that on the fun list. If you guys don't know, I've been
Nice.
challenged because I don't know how to have fun. I've been having fun. We have a giant list. If you want to add to the fun list of things I could do and AJ could do to have fun, because we aren't great at it.
Nope.
Intentional fun, that is. It's right here. So I want to update you guys. I am behind. However, I have done some stuff.
Oh yeah.
Ended up watching the movie Nobody, which I liked a lot.
Great movie.
Spoke to my masculine heart for sure. I did play a video game for a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I told the people in my life I love them.
Oh yeah.
Trying to see here, and I think that's all. I did invite myself to the Joneses' house for dinner, but I have not gone there yet. So, got a lot of things to catch up on, but we're not going to stop the party. I've got to add 2 more.
Party
I will not quit.
will continue.
So, Clint, we have between 1 and 43. If there's ones that's specific to me, you'll just have to do your own. You know what I'm saying?
Got you. I can do that.
So, 1 to 43, what do you got? Fun turn. All right, he's buying time.
It is rolling, and it is number 9.
Number 9, bowling. You
Bowling.
got to go bowling.
Dude, I love bowling.
I love golf. I love bowling. All right, and then I think one more, right? Because then Thursday. What's the other one? I don't know how we're going to do this.
27.
27. Oh boy, what's 27?
Start a book that you've been meaning to read that interests you. I like that they didn't say read the whole book. Just start
Actually,
one.
I got one right over there. It's perfect.
Perfect. Done. You guys heard it here. We're going to do that.
All right. Is it weird? Do you get nervous about these things?
I hate the fact that I'm like, I feel good that I kind of caught up on some.
Yeah.
So now I feel good.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I got to get going on this.
I do like it's funny because it's like it's supposed to be a fun list, but there is like some nerve to it.
You know what, though? When I'm in the middle of it, like watching that movie, I
was
love
having
that.
fun.
That was a great movie.
It's true.
Yeah.
So it is working.
Yeah. So anyway, there we go.
Awesome.
So now we have to move on to the most important things, the questions.
The questions.
And those will start with number 1. Did Noah or his sons ever have to go out and steer the ark? Or did they stay inside the whole time?
Why is the question so funny?
I don't know, man. Sometimes I pause right before I ask a question.
I understand.
And when I get to the question, it just makes me laugh.
I get it. I've been there myself.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Sometimes, yeah. Anyway,
let's see. Honestly, I have no idea. I'm gonna assume no.
I would completely agree with you. We have no indication of it. Why would he need to steer? The entire world is covered in water.
Exactly.
So
So
all
it's
he's
like
doing is trying to stay alive.
exactly.
And that boat was so big, how's he going to steer it?
There's no way. It's just free.
Although I think that's a good question.
free floating.
Free floating and I'm free. Anyway, yeah, I think they just floated, man, to the entire time, right? I mean, the earth is
Yeah.
covered in a flood, and you're just trying to stay alive.
I just sometimes I think about that and how insane that would be.
Yeah, man. You know what's interesting, and this is true. Even scientists, but every culture, religion has that has a great flood in their story.
That's
Even
so cool.
scientists say there was a great flood at one point.
That's really cool. I
Now
love
I'm
that.
sure they flip and go, "Yeah, you took that from. That just means you're one of the like the rest of them." I'm like, not really.
They typically, I know scientists typically say it's I don't know anything about anything else, but one of the random things that I've read recently.
I don't know anything about anything else. Anyway, go on. That's what he said. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
more about the religious side.
I
of
get
things,
it, I
but the scientists say it's more of a they claim it's because the ice age was thawing and then it was doing all that and that's what it was doing, or
Sure.
it was leading into one because the ice needed to be there, so water needed it. It's all a bunch of humbo jumbo, in my opinion.
Did you say Humbo Jumbo?
Yep, I did.
Humbo Jumbo.
Anyway, you're up.
I'm gonna have that
Great
shoot
question.
across the screen.
That would be added to the merch list. Humbo Jumbo.
We should also have Torn on the list.
I'm just telling you right now. Yeah, but that one is direct from the show, and I would wear that shirt. Imagine a shirt that just says it's all Humbo Jumbo, or it just said Humbo Jumbo, but it's cool.
Humbo Jumbo, dude. And it's got like sprinkles on it or something.
anyway.
I don't know.
You're up.
Which I don't know.
Sprinkles?
I don't know. That's the first thing that came to mind. Would you rather be a ventriloquist like Jeff Dunham or an impressionist like Frank Caliendo?
Can already do impressions, so I'm going to say Jeff Dunham. Being a ventriloquist in general would be incredible.
It's pretty cool.
Also,
actually.
when I played Daisy with Puppet, it would be much better because I could go.
And she'd be like,
Yeah.
Dad's not talking.
Yeah.
Dude, I would say I'd rather be an impressionist like Frank Caliendo because it'd be so fun to just mess with people in drive-thrus.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
I already live this life. This is what I do in drive-thrus. In fact, my employees get so angry at me when I do it. They're like, "You need to stop. It's embarrassing." And I'm like, "I've gone viral. Maybe not viral, but at least viral in this town on Snapchat. Not even joking. They literally came through and they're like, 'You're the guy.' And I go, 'What?' And they're like, 'You're the guy from Snapchat.' And I go, 'I guess.'"
See, there
I
you go.
don't
You could
know.
be
Viral sensation.
This was from last week, which we don't really have a ton of context. I think it was from live, actually.
I think so.
But it's still, I think it'll make sense to you guys, the Pod Squad, regardless, because they give context. I didn't get to finish my question/thought before it made me hit submit. This is such a sad thing that it said Christians are forcing their views on people, but this article shows people turning a blind eye to people shoving their views and not being open. The book talks about positive things we as humans should be all about anyways. Love, peace, and joy. So the article is from Wonderwall.com. The news is Kirk Cameron claims over 50 libraries have denied him the story hour slot to read his faith-based books.
That's right. And I mean, there's several libraries all across America, big libraries that have denied him
Of course.
the time.
But if you want to talk about a book that says Sally wants to be a boy, I guarantee you they would let him read it.
Absolutely. And that's where a lot of it actually came in was like, so one of the examples is Brave Brooks. Brave.
So it actually is, that's the case? 'Cause I
Brave-
haven't read the article yet to know.
Yeah. So like
So that did happen.
Brave Books insists that libraries are more interested in catering to the LGBTQ plus
Wow.
community than faith.
I believe it.
So a lot of them are saying,
That was unbelievable. One Rhode Island library that was approached by Kirk Cameron. The book, by the way, is called As You Grow. Let's see what it says here. The book, he says, is a part of a whole universe of books with a whole series of characters that teaches biblical wisdom and value, producing the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faith, and self-control. And I think that's what the questioner person says is like all those things are beautiful regardless of what you believe.
definitely.
But listen to this. So one Rhode Island library that turned him down that promoted an event called the Queer Umbrella, which it describes as a, quote, safe place where teens can learn, discuss, and connect over queer history, art, and community services. And then their quote, the library worker told Brave Books, which is his books, quote, "No, we will pass on having you run a program in our space. Quote, we are a very queer-friendly library. Our messaging does not align."
Yeah, and that was essentially the same message they got throughout all the other libraries they tried to go to do this.
San Diego Library supposedly told the publisher that allowing the, quote, growing pains star to read his book during story hour is not, quote, something that we would do, end quote. Another library near San Francisco allegedly hosts a, quote, every month is Pride Month series, end quote. A staffer there plainly told Kirk that the library wasn't interested in his book, Fox reported.
Yep.
Other libraries in New York and Indiana. There we go, folks. Right here in Indiana.
Yep, Indiana.
Also reportedly said no for a variety of reasons. He said, quote, "This is proof that more than ever we're getting destroyed in the battle for the hearts and minds of our children. Publicly funded libraries are greenlighting gender marker and name change clinics while denying a story time that would involve the reading of a book that teaches biblical wisdom. How much more clear can it get? We have to start fighting back or we will lose our kids in this country." Trent Talbot, founder and CEO of Texas-based Brave Books, said in a statement to Fox News, quote, "It's devastating to discover that many of our publicly funded libraries have now become indoctrination centers that refuse to allow biblical wisdom to be taught to our children. The woke left understands morality is instilled by the age of 10. It's something for you parents out there to hear. Morality is instilled by the age of 10, and they want their morality to win, not the morality that the Bible teaches."
Man, dude.
So I think the biggest point, regardless of what you believe, of course, we already know what the truth is here, right? You're at Real Talk, so clearly you know we're believers, and we believe in the biblical wisdom, which, by the way, that is all good stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And certainly you know our stance on gender changes. God doesn't make a mistake. However, I will tell you this. By the way, I want to make an argument at the atheists who came back at me with that because I know what they would say. I'll come back to that in a minute.
Okay.
The biggest thing to me, though, is that these are publicly funded libraries.
Yes.
So they should not have a bias.
No.
You get what I mean?
should not.
You should care about that regardless of anything else because it should not have a bias like that. It's
Absolutely.
government funded.
That's really good, man. I honestly don't have anything else to add because I mean you're right. That's ridiculous. That shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, you're right. So, anyway, you're up.
All right. What kind of legacy would you like to leave for your kids or future kids?
It's a very interesting question, primarily because I want to do a series called Legacy. I think I told you this.
Yeah.
About 5 months ago. Thought it came out and I haven't done it yet because it just didn't feel like the right time. However, I think a lot about legacy lately. We've talked about this. This has been a big deal to me. So before you check out, because you may be out there saying, I don't have any kids, you still are going to leave a legacy, right? Whether it's to your future kids or just to this world, right? So for me, I want my daughter to be proud of her dad. And I want her to be able to look at her dad and have him be someone whose life, though imperfect, pointed people to Jesus. And not only that, but was loving and kind and courageous and, someone that she can look to. One of the most humbling things since becoming a dad.
Yeah.
Is the idea of, and I think about this all the time, would I want my daughter to date a guy like me? And that'll change your mindset. And I'll tell you guys that too. I've been thinking about that. If you had a daughter, do you want her dating someone like you? And if the answer is no, you got to change something. So for me, I want her to be really proud of me. Not even for me, but for her, so she can have a name that brings honor to her. I definitely want to leave her financially set. It's something that's kind of maybe disappeared in our culture. I want her to have all the things that, she should have. I want her to be able to, and other kids, son's different, right? I could come to that too.
Yeah.
I want my son to have a name because he'll carry that name forever. And I want him to be proud of that name. And, but I have a daughter right now and I want her to be able to, I want to pay for her marriage. I want to, leave her something. You know what I mean? Like someday I want to set her up. It gets me emotional. I don't know why. I'm starting to get emotional thinking about it. But I want her to be set up in life. If she wants to go to college, I want to take that burden off of her.
Yeah.
And all those kinds of things. And some of that is financial, and that's not wrong. But I think the most important thing is I want her to be proud of her dad and to have a positive view of that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I want her to know that the kingdom matters. And
that's good,
man,
dude.
I'm about to get. Why does that make me emotional? It's such an interesting thing. But I want her to know that, like, I really believed what I said I believed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that even though I'm imperfect, that showed in the trajectory of my life.
Exactly. You want your life to show that you meant what you said.
Yeah.
Like that it does matter.
What about you? Kid or future kid? It says.
I mean, I want. It's very similar to you, man. Like I want. Well, first off, it made me think about my life for one. Because I know earlier we discussed like my life, and I was like,
Not just yours, man, but yeah.
So like, I was thinking about, what kind of legacy would I be leaving right now? And it's not a good one. At least that's what it feels like. But
it'd be good, man. Character wise.
So for me, it's changes like that. That was what came to my mind. But like, as far as leaving it for my, for a kid, man, dude, like, I think I'd want to leave a legacy of like, laugh, like don't make life so heavy. And I would want to set them up in some way, like you said. I would want them to be comfortable. But then I'd also want them, and this is something that probably comes from my roots, is I'd also want them to be prepared for the world, though.
That's a great point that I didn't say that I would do as well.
Yeah.
Like,
I would want them to be prepared for what's to come because I wasn't. And so, and that's given me a lot of disadvantages. So I would want them to have, I want to give them what they would need and want at times, but also I want to leave that legacy of like, being prepared. So like, yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things is preparing them for what the world is going to be. Yeah.
it's good, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that becomes even, I mean, for both, right? Character, but for a son, and people may not like, I think it's even more important if you had a son because you can say what you want about this world. We live in this world where somehow equality means sameness, but men have to be different than women. The standard that's put on men, even in our modern world, is different. It is. They can say it's not in the world, but it is. as far as nobody cares if you're sad. Nobody cares if and they've got to be strong enough to make it through that.
Yeah, they got to push past that stuff,
That's
man.
good. This is a good question.
Oh, absolutely. Shout out. That was a cool question.
All right.
Let's see. I just read in Genesis 7:2-3 that it says, "Take 7 pairs of animals for sacrifice and 1 pair of all other kinds." I was taught growing up it was just 1 pair. Why do you think the 7 pairs for sacrifice gets left out in the big church teachings?
Well, I think let me flip it. I think the reason they focus on the 1 pair is the main thing is they're saying there was at least a pair of every animal, right? So the 7 pairs of animals for sacrifice means there were also clean animals. Remember, there were clean and unclean.
Yeah.
Clean would have been good for sacrifice, but also for eating. Remember? So, because remember, Noah made a sacrifice as soon as they started. I'm pretty sure, or right before. So there's a pair there. So you're going to want more of the clean animals than the unclean.
Yeah.
And that's why.
Interesting.
So I just think it's one of those things that, as non-Jews, it's cool to think about, but it's probably viewed not as like crucial to understand.
Yeah.
But it's a great catch, by the way, because honestly, dear watcher, I didn't even, I went back and I opened this up to look at it right before the show, and I had not caught that before.
Yeah.
So good catch. But yeah, that's the reason.
Let's see here. In the Old Testament, it mentions how the sacrifices would please the Lord. How would the people have known if it pleases God or not?
He told them. He tells them. So, particularly in Leviticus later on, it's very much spelled out. But I believe I'd have to look at the earliest mention of it. But definitely, God tells the people very specifically. Now, what's really interesting is if you look at the unclean animals versus clean animals, scientists and stuff now. So, for instance, have you guys ever heard of, weirdly enough, I've heard of this recently without knowing this question. It's something called like trichinosis.
Trichinosis.
Something like that. And this is the disease or parasites that you get from certain meat that is not cooked well at a high enough temperature. Pork is one of them. Bear. People eat bear sometimes if it's not cooked. Guess what a lot of the unclean animals were? Animals that, if not, that were very easy to get diseases from.
Well, that's wild.
So God was also looking out.
Yeah, for his people.
Dang, dude. Isn't that wild?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Uh-huh.
That's so cool.
So, good question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, so that's just unclean animals. Going to the rest of the sacrifices, he very specifically, come back because I want to answer this fully. There's various types of sacrifices, and we don't have time right now in the context of this question to answer this. And that's why we should be so thankful that it was all wrapped in Christ. But there were different sacrifices for different things, all kinds of different. God was very specific, which is cool, but also stressful. It told exactly what they needed to be like. So even up to like color at times, or unblemished and all these things. So he told them what the sacrifices needed to be.
Yeah.
All right. Is that it?
We got one
I'll
more.
ask you one here.
Kind of got. It looks like it's more. Oh, never mind. There's a question at the end of this one.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Battery-powered Christians charge up on Sunday, hope to survive till next Sunday on one charge. Christians need a full power charge every day. Read the Bible, pray, and worship. That's true. Have you charged your battery today?
Man, dude, this is convicting because I haven't. So, and it's funny because we were having conversations before we were recording, and you even asked me, and I was like, no.
Hey, but we had some before the show. We had a little mini one. We read out Philippians.
That's true, man, which I'm really thankful for because I thought it was really good and it was really good stuff. So, but I couldn't agree with you anymore. This kind of goes into, don't always do what I do, but do as I say, because clearly, it's so important, dude.
Yeah, but don't sell yourself short real quick because that is something that we all go through phases that you have been really strong at times.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Have you? Yeah. Yeah. So,
man,
sorry. I didn't mean
read
to
the
cut you.
Bible, pray, worship, man. Like those are just such good ways. I mean, it's if you're a Christian listening, it's like a requirement, man. Like you need it
If you want to be healthy.
Yes, you need it.
Yep. I have some. Everything I haven't worshipped, I guess, in the sense of singing yet, or like if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
But I will, and I'm glad for the reminder. It's awesome.
Oh yeah.
One of the things we talked about is I've tried to be very, very consistent in my study time, like my own personal devotion time outside of studying for stuff, and it's made a difference in my life, man.
It's really cool, man. It's a cool little testimony for sure.
So
I
we'll
mean,
see.
you can tell the difference.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? It's just
You
it's
can.
like whether you eat or not, pretty much same thing. All right, we got a statement here.
Statement.
Noah built the ark in 7 days. I bet that was long days where he didn't get much, if any, sleep. But yet we, myself included, can't be bothered to stay up later for someone who needs me or answer my phone in the middle of the night if I hear it. Super convicting. Your thoughts on that?
I agree. I know for me when I'm not in, or if I'm not in a good standing relationship with Jesus and I'm just off trying to do my own thing, I know for a fact that I'm so much more self-indulged. I'm so much more selfish, man. And so I think pursuing that relationship with Christ is what compels us to pick up the phone in the middle of the night, even if we don't want to, or whatever it may be. So like that is convicting because like, I don't know, man. We're just very selfish people. So, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting connection too between the ark and because there's the aspect of being obedient, loving people even when you don't feel like it, to be obedient. Because if you're waiting to love people when you feel like loving them every time, you're going to have those days where you don't.
Absolutely.
So sometimes it's going to be like, this is odd. Sometimes you love not out of feeling, but out of obedience. Which is kind of weird for us to think about.
It's really good, man.
Anyway, I'm trying to see if we got any things here. That was good thoughts, though, dude.
Absolutely.
Now, I will say this one. Actor Neil McDonough. Have you looked this up? You'll know this guy. Have you looked his picture up?
Funtern showed me a picture of him.
I guarantee you recognize him.
Yeah, I did.
So this guy's actually pretty famous. I've seen him multiple times. For those who are, for most of you, I think the thing you'll recognize from the most popular thing recently is Flash. He played Damon, is it Darkin or something like that? He plays villains a lot. So he's in the Flash. He plays I think something dark, Damien Dark or something.
Okay.
Interesting guy. He was in Band of Brothers. He's in a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
And he's usually known for portraying movie villains. Says he's now focused on creating faith-based projects that align with his family values. Anyway, it's interesting. He said that his display of Christian faith won't end with his Christmas special. He and his wife of almost 20 years, Ruve, have started their own film company, McDonough Company, that will reflect their strong values. As a devout Catholic, McDonough said, representing the faith, his faith is the only, quote, only thing, end quote, that he knows. It's hard because I've done so many different characters and done so many things, and some of them I play horrible villains in a lot of things that I do, and I won't do kissing scenes, so I have to be the best villain out there. Known for his performance in Band of Brothers, Minority Report, and Desperate Housewives, McDonough shared in the past that he was cut from roles because of his strong Christian convictions, and it cost him his job on ABC's Scoundrels series in 2010. He and his wife, a South African model, have 5 children together. The loyal husband said he refuses to kiss his co-stars because, quote, because these lips are meant for one woman, end quote. But now, Ruve and I are producing our own films. All of our projects have a faith backdrop. The content that we're making will not always be overtly faith-based, but, quote, faith-friendly, in so much that we want to reach out to people who aren't just Christians. The couple hopes their message will reach people of all backgrounds, so they too would be encouraged to make the world a better place. He said, I've certainly done plenty enough where my characters don't portray the best thing in his life, but as an actor, you're part of a piece. My part of the piece was to be the dark side of things, which is really interesting because that's kind of the antithesis to what I am in real life. So it's a great challenge as an actor. It's a great challenge as a man. It's also a great challenge as a child of God to press on with the right material. For years, they weren't in a position, him and his wife weren't in a position to launch their own company. Want to be strategic with the work they plan to create. This is cool. Now I have the opportunity because Ruve and I are doing it ourselves, and I'm so blessed to have companies support us and back us and wanted to make more films and TV shows or reality shows or any kind of show that give glory to him. McDonough declared, this part's cool. Not just to make a movie, but to do a movie that actually gives him glory. That's our goal.
So cool, man.
And he added, that's what we're after, and we're very fortunate to be able to do it. He said the entertainment company is already doing real well and will soon be online too. And he ended his interview by encouraging people to watch Christmas with the Tabernacle Choir, which I have no idea what that is. So.
Me either. But very cool, man. And very brave. Very brave of him to step out, especially in Hollywood and start a faith-based film company.
Yeah, I actually Googled him because I'm making sure I thought that's who it was. 'Cause actually, and yeah, man, he refused to do any kissing scenes, and he was on Desperate Housewives. I don't know if I never watched the show, but that was a
Yeah.
pretty risque show.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they had to like creatively write because he never kissed his quote wife in that show.
Wow,
Isn't that crazy?
man, that's
Yeah.
that's pretty bold, man.
Oh yeah.
Pretty bold.
Reminds me of an interesting story from my college days. As you know, I was in a play. I think I've told you this.
Yes.
I played a cowboy by the name of Shadow Long.
Shadow Long, baby.
Now, the interesting thing is I had to knife fight a Native American. I have Native American in me, but I got to dress as a cowboy. I was literally a cowboy. Todd, what the heck does that have to do with anything? I'm getting there. So I went to a Christian college, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a kissing scene in which I was supposed to kiss this girl. Now, I'm just going to be blunt with you.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want. It wasn't like I wanted to kiss this girl. I wasn't. I'm gonna say this. She was a cute girl, but I wasn't like attracted to her. It was genuinely because I was like, hey, if I'm gonna be in a play, I'm gonna go all out, right?
Yeah.
Because she did not want to kiss me because of the same thing. She wanted her first kiss because her parents were first in to be with her husband, which I thought was cool,
Yeah.
really cool. So I was cool with that. So we had to do a fake kiss, which involved subtly sliding your hand up between your lips, like I turned my back to the audience, and then you kiss the hand.
Yeah.
So we did that because she was my girl in this. It was a crazy play. I'm in a diner, waiting for a bus. I meet a Native American. We start fighting. I fall in love. It's a strange story. Anyway, however, you know what she did want to do and want to act out and thought we should really commit to is in one of the scenes I get slapped. I believe it's after I kiss her. Now, there might be some theater folk out there that know that there's a little trick to that too, which is you slap your hand,
Yeah.
right? To the crowd as you look, you kind of slap at them and you slap your hand.
Yeah.
Slap a hand. No. We thought it best that we really sell the slap.
You take a palm to
So-
the face, man.
In the practices, even, I was slapped 20 times. Multiple times.
How hard was she swinging?
Oh, she slapped me good, bro. Because the director's like, we need this to really, you're very angry. So she slapped the crap out of me, dude. Which I think she relished a little too much.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyway, she was a really, really sweet girl. But I thought the whole point of that is a funny story. Two things. One, she didn't want to kiss because she wanted to say that for her husband, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
And two, but she certainly was committed to slapping me. So, end of story. Also, I almost didn't show up to that play. I got sort of cold feet, weirdly, and wasn't going to show up. And literally there was no understudy. I was going to ruin the whole play. I was not going to show up. And I rolled in last minute, bro. Last minute and did the play.
Man.
I feel really guilty that I almost didn't because I caused that director so much stress. I was the main character.
Oh, dude.
I don't think I probably didn't tell you this. I was not the side character.
Yeah,
I was
you
the
were-
main character.
Uh-huh. You're the lead
I was the
role.
lead role, and I just the day of wasn't going to show, and he's texting me, and I'm like, I don't want to do this, man. And then I ended up showing, rolled in, got ready, threw my thing on, and moved on. But yeah,
Just did the thing.
yeah,
That's
Anyway,
amazing.
This is such a weird, random story, but I thought it was funny because the connection here was the kissing.
Yeah. Shadow Long.
The name's Shadow Long. My daddy had one heck of a sense of humor. That was my first line.
Nice.
Well, not my first line, but when I met the guy.
That's amazing.
Because I sat at the bar, and that's what I said to her. She goes, "How you doing? I want to drink." And I just cut to the chase. "Hey, how you doing? Name's Shadow.
That's amazing.
Shadow Long."
So, for you, do you actually remember? Like, if you had to sit, do you think you'd actually remember most of your lines from
No.
that play?
If I had like it in front of me, I could probably remember stuff. I remember that line because it was like one of the first lines.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What was the play called? Do you remember?
I'm trying to look that up right now, dude. I do not remember.
You Googling Shadow Long play.
Yeah.
Dude, that's one thing that I commend you for doing because I was going to do plays in high school.
I was
But-
only in college, dude, and the guy asked me because he
Yeah.
said, "You know what, man? I think you can play a cocky Southern guy." That's literally what he said. Which irony, anyway.
The
go on.
irony. Like, I commend you, man, because that's a I mean, it's a like that group of people, man. They can be very overwhelming.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I tried, and I was like, I can't handle this. Like, I'm over it. Like, so I never did it.
Yeah, I would have liked to do it in high school, but if I'm honest, dude, I think I was pressured with the whole like I'm an athlete. Even though they're athletes that did it, I just in my school it didn't happen a lot, and it was like you had to kind of choose because it took a lot of time. Because I mean, they're doing full plays in high school.
Oh
like,
yeah, dude.
but I was like, oh, I want to lift, and get ready. But I regret that.
Yeah, a part of me still definitely wishes I would have just done it anyway. Because like I think was it my junior or senior year I had some sort of it was theater arts. I was in theater arts class, and sometimes we'd go into the what do you call that place where they have plays? I don't even remember.
Auditorium?
Yes, auditorium. Man, I couldn't think of what it was called. But yeah, we would go into the auditorium for some of the classes, and we would do like improv, and that was so fun. I loved doing improv.
Oh yeah, I love to do that, too.
Improv was a blast, man. But
I'm really trying my best to find this. I'm gonna find this, guys, one of these days, and I'll tell you.
nice.
But yeah, improv is hilarious. Dude.
Oh, dude, so fun and like just playing off people and like, oh, it's so fun and like she had like our teacher was super cool and she had so many fun exercises to do. It was cool. She also used to hypnotize us sometimes.
Did it work?
Not for me.
Yeah. Oh, I read this thing. I saw this thing from an actual scientist. So if you want to know if you're easily hypnotizable, I can tell you right now.
Really, I'm in.
Okay, I think I remember this. All right, look straight.
Okay.
Okay, now tip your head straight back. Look at the ceiling. Now, close and open your eyes. Uh-oh, bro. You hesitated. Supposedly, if you take a minute, if it goes slower than normal, you could be hypnotized.
Listen, I was hypnotized by Mad Max one time.
Really?
He got
that
me.
makes sense.
He got me.
So
dude.
supposedly, so like this. Oh yeah, I guess you guys that are in the podcast can hear. You look up at the ceiling, and then you close your eyes and open them.
Interesting.
Depending on if you naturally go really slow or you like kind of go fast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was in there for a second. I was like, huh.
You know the best part about this is I've tried to have like there are like random hypnotist things that you can find online for like sleep and stuff and things like that. I tried one of those a long time ago and it didn't work at all. And some of it I wonder is because I'm so ADHD, like I physically like I have a built-in like
That's
cheat
funny.
code. They're like, you need to focus on the voice. And I'm like, I am trying with everything I have to focus on the voice. However, there's a dog running across my vision right now.
Right. Bro. Dude, Mad Max, he got me good, dude.
So
one
is
time.
that something he's just looked into or what?
I think so. And like, dude, because I was sitting down in the kitchen and I told him, I was like, man, I don't know, I can't remember what it was. I was either anxious or I was tired or maybe both. But he said, he's like, just relax, man. I was like, all right. And he's like, all right, just close your eyes. I was like, all right. And dude, I was gone, dude. And I mean, I remember like, it was that weird like in between where like you feel like you're asleep but awake, and like that. It's crazy though because when he got me out of it though, I was so much calmer. And I was like, that's creepy. You just hypnotized me. But yeah, he's good at it.
What did he do? How did he hypnotize you?
He essentially just guided me into into this like relaxed state. So like, he's like, close your eyes, and like he kept his voice the same tone the whole time, and it was like calm, and then told me like, follow like feel your like feet on the floor, and then feel your legs go sink into the floor, and it was kind of very similar to what like my theater arts teacher tried to do with us. But he was just so good at it. And he was like, feel.
Actually really, really kind of scary. He said, feel what?
I'm trying to think. Like, one of them was like, feel the, what do you say? Something about in your head. Like, feel something in your head. And, like, I felt it. I was like, what the heck, dude? I feel this thing. And then that's when I knew I was gone because I was like, I am just everything he's saying makes sense right now, and I just feel all of it. And I was so relaxed, though. That was the crazy part. But I also had a hypnotist come to our school one time and hypnotize people.
What he had to do?
Oh, he was like one of those guys that would like make them like forget their
Chicken
name,
and stuff or something. Yeah.
they would he would go to sleep, and they were like out. And I even got to talk to one of them afterwards, and they're like, "I'm sleepy, dude." It was weird.
Oof.
Yeah.
Where did he say? I'm sorry. Where did Mad Max say he learned it? Or did he
I
say-
think I'd
Some
imagine
of
like
his own?
online or something, but yeah, he
Big
just
one.
had
It's
this.
one of his many videos that he watches in his spare time.
Yeah, he just had this little method, and it just worked, man.
He's like, this is the skill I need.
It's impressive.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, you ready? That was a nice little sidebar we found. We ended up talking about an actor and a thing going to or his company to a play to hypnotism. I like it. Anyway, I think that's it, man.
Yeah, it's a good show today.
You got anything you want to say to the crowd?
Hello, crowd. If you're watching this still, please like, share, follow, comment on all of our social media platforms we have. That's Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, all podcast platforms. We are everywhere. So please tell people why you're watching, because I watch too. Other than that, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this.
Funtern, anything?
You know, Tony's back. We're back.
Hey,
from
Tony
the
needs to talk
pizzeria.
fast.
I'm going to try. Yeah. All right. You know, when you...
Tony
when
goes
you
on
come
for
back-
20 minutes.
Tony, yeah, we talk a lot. Anyways, you come on down, you liked what you saw, you like what you heard, we ask you to leave a review. We ask you to leave us a 5-star review. It helps us on the business end of things. It makes
Stick
it see
around,
to
folks.
other people. Please, it just helps us. I love you all. If you didn't like what you heard today, just keep on stepping.
Thanks, Tony. It's good to see you.
Thanks,
man.
Tony.
Hey, I think that's it. What can I say? Little note. Hey, you know what? Here's something for you. There's hope. There's always hope. Sometimes we can get stuck in a rut, or like we can be focused on the circumstances around us, and we can start to think that it's never going to change. I get it. I can be the same way. Here's the fact: God has promised us, right? Especially if you're in Christ out there, listen. He has promised you that there's always hope. That He's coming through, and He's gonna show up. He's gonna be in your situation. So just hang on. Trust Him, walk through it, and focus on the things that you can control, and the rest of it will fall into place. We hope you guys have a great day, and God bless you.